Oh my goodness. We are live. Man, it feels good to be back. Guys, welcome to Stockwatch Sunday. I'm back in my regular studio. I'll tell you what, it was a great time away, but I feel so good about being back home. You know, there's just something to be said about being back home. Just welcome to Stockwatch Sunday. Here we are. The stock market is crazy. It's chaotic. That's what this channel is for. So welcome to Own the Chaos. As I'm letting people roll in here, I just want to welcome you to this channel. My name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The stock market is crazy and the stock market is a crazy and chaotic place. I made it my mission to help you own it. And if you're tuning in for the first time, you're in for a treat. This is Stockwatch Sunday. Every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live with folks, and you can tune in. You can ask whatever question you want as it relates to the stock market, and I will do my best to answer that and provide you with some powerful insight. So if you're new to this channel, all I ask is that you give me a nice thumbs up. If you want to see more content such as this, then please subscribe. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays as it relates to the stock market. I give you the news. I give you my opinion. Ultimately, I would like to hear from you, engage in some conversation, and then on Sundays, it's a special treat. I get to connect with you guys live, just as I'm doing right now, and it's just it's my favorite time of the week. It's Stockwatch Sunday. I just love it. So let me welcome some folks in here. What's going on, Alan? Good to see you, man. Quick Fox, good to see you. What's up, Bob? Good to see you. Northbound 95 bumper to bumper. That sucks. Sorry to hear that. 95 is terrible. If you guys are not on the East Coast, just imagine 95 being like the 404 if you're on the West Coast. So it's pretty terrible. Pretty tough stuff. Sorry to hear that, Bob. What's going on, Hope? Good to see you. Lost one. R. Hanks, good to see you. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, man. Happy to have you here. Brian Robinson. Christopher Robinson. Oh, man. Christopher Robinson. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, man. Jim, what's up? Watch the... How much they pay for that? I wish they paid me 50 cents per ad. Trust me. But if you guys saw the ad, I appreciate the support. That's what supports this channel. So thanks so much for that. I do appreciate that. What further supports this channel, if you can see, Bob here has a nice little cool looking icon next to his name. So if you want to support this channel even further and get a watch list from me every single day before the market opens, go ahead and check out the join tab over on my channel. And for $5 a month, you get a watch list that I put out every single day. So if you want to go check that out, feel free to do so. But if you want to step it up even further, go check out the links in the description below. I go live with folks from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time every single day of the week. And I go over what I'm looking for throughout the entire day, how I plan on engaging in my trades throughout the day so that you guys can get some powerful insight on that as well. There's some people in here that are already tuning in. Alan, Bob, Quick Fox, Hope, a couple of other people that are in here that are in that mentorship as well. The links are in the description. If you want to go check that out, feel free to do so. I would appreciate it, and I don't think that you would regret being in that powerful community that we have of traders. It's pretty awesome. It's investing, it's trading, it's all of the above. And that's basically what this channel is about, as well as Stockwatch Sunday. And so I kind of wanted to take this to a different approach today. So normally what I would do is that I have a list of stocks that I'm watching throughout the week, right? And it's a little bit different because usually I'm pulling up some earnings. I'm pulling up some things that have come up with some unusual volume, and then I'll give you, a breakdown of what it is that I'm watching. But things are different right now, right? I mean, the stock market is all over the place. It's down 1,000 points. It's up 1,000 points. It's down 1,200 points. It's up 2,000 points. What the hell do we do? Take a breather, okay? Chill out, calm down, stop buying toilet paper, and start buying stocks. That's what this channel is about, guys. Most of you are probably home for the next 2 weeks, right? So what better time to learn to buy stocks than right freaking now on Own the Chaos. So if you guys want stocks that any stocks that you would like me to take a look at, I certainly would look at them for you. And also, I would invite you to call in. Now, I tried to have you guys call in a couple weeks ago. If you guys recall, nobody called in, which is fine. We're just starting this out, right? I can understand it's a little bit overwhelming if you afraid to call in or whatever. But please, I would encourage you to call in. I think it's a really good opportunity for people to engage even more, and maybe the questions that you're asking are questions that other people have as well. So I would encourage you guys to call in. If you guys want to call in, I'll give you the number and let you know when is a good time to call in after we get through everything else. So If you guys saw what happened in the stock market just before the closing bell on Friday, you saw that Donald Trump came out and said, "Hey, guess what? We're going to try to do whatever we can to combat the coronavirus, and we're going to do all these things." Well, then the Fed comes out today, plans to cut rates down to zero. Maybe that moves the stock market even more, but I'm willing to bet if you look at the futures right now, they're not looking so hot. The stock market actually ends up coming back down. When the Dow Jones goes up 2,000 points in one day, the biggest run up in one day after one of the largest or one of the worst weeks, really, that we've ever seen since 2000 or since 1987, I should say. There's probably a good chance the market ends up coming down even further. So I would say, if you are looking to be a long-term investor, if you have a 401k, if you have a long-term portfolio, I wouldn't go in and take all the cash that you have and buy everything else up right now, because we don't know when the actual bottom of the stock market's actually going to be in, right? So if you have a larger long-term portfolio, I would encourage you to start buying, if you haven't already, your great companies, right? Your Apple, I would say even Tesla, AMD, your technology stocks. I would stay away from your travel stocks still, because there's no way that those types of stocks, the bottom's in on those, like your American Airlines, your any of your airlines, your travel stocks, your cruise lines, Wynn, any of those. I would stay away from them until we see actually what the fallout's going to be with those, because we really don't know just yet, right? And there's a lot of uncertainty. Everybody's throwing around the R word around. There's a possibility we could be in a recession, but we don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We won't find out for sure, I would say probably for about a month or two from now, the impact of what coronavirus is actually having. But I would say there's probably more likely than not going to be some sort of recession. Can we compare it to 2008? I don't think so. I think that 2008 was much more of a fundamental recession than what we're experiencing right now. The economy was so strong before the coronavirus came around, right? Everybody was crushing earnings. Everybody was spending money. Consumers were buying all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, you were saving money. And if you were, now's the time to start buying. And if you have a 401k and your budget allows for this, maximize your contributions as much as you can. Obviously, this is my opinion. I'm not telling you exactly what to do, and you shouldn't take this as the gospel. But if it were me, and I still had a 401k that I was contributing to, I'd be maxing that out like crazy right now. Stop going out every night of the week, or cut down some of your leisure spending and start dumping into your 401k right now, because now is the time to start buying up. If you guys did not learn anything from 2008, I lived through 2008. I was a young guy, 2008, or my early 20s. So I experienced what exactly happened during that time. And everybody freaked out, started selling their 401ks or putting them in money markets and everything else, right? And that was the worst possible thing that you could have ever done if you did that in 2008. You don't want to know why? Because if you guys recall what happened since 2008, the stock market from 2008 to 2019 quadrupled. So anybody who sold out of their 401k in fear of whatever, if they were fearful because maybe they thought their 401k was going to go to zero, which I don't know why they thought that would have happened. They sold out because they were scared, and then they missed out on some immense opportunities to be able to continue to add to those long-term investments. Or, if you have a long-term portfolio that you're just starting to build on your own, selling right now is not a good idea. If you sold at the top and you just had some cash sitting aside, good for you. That's exactly how you would have played this. But now, if you already have suffered a loss and you didn't sell, and you sell now, you're only guaranteeing yourself a loss. And, I know maybe there's some of you out there that are like, well, I was planning on retiring this year. If you can, I don't know how to explain this. Let me rephrase. If you are planning on retiring this year and you can stand to wait one more year, I would say it's probably a good idea to do so, because the market's going to come back. It's not like 2008. It really just isn't. Fundamentally, the economy was so much better going into this correction than it was in 2008. And so I know that I've gone on a little bit of a spiel here, a little bit of a rant, if you will, but it's because I feel so passionate about this, about being able to buy now that things are so ridiculously cheap. We're seeing stocks such as Apple come down to $250, which is just, it's laughable. It's a joke. Some of these prices of these quality companies are just a joke. You see Tesla coming down from 980, somewhere around there, all the way down to almost $400 a share in 3 weeks. It's a joke. This is the time to buy stuff like that. AMD, even Uber, it's down $20? I mean, I would say that Uber, hold off a little bit because it is ride sharing. People are going to be afraid to ride around with strangers that they don't know that may end up having some sort of infection. We don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of uncertainty there. So I would wait just along with all the other travel type stocks. But your Johnson & Johnson, your Costco, your Walmart, how many people have went out and bought toilet paper at Costco, right? You've seen it. So all of these department stores that have been selling like crazy, but the stock keeps going down, that fundamentally makes no sense. They're selling like crazy, which means that the revenue is going through the roof. So if you're buying right now with Costco or Walmart or what have you, any of these department stores that are clearing their shelves that are publicly traded companies, it only makes sense to fundamentally get into these on the cheap. Especially Costco has incredible dividends if you're interested in that sort of thing. So, in my opinion, it's time to chill out while you're sitting at home. Watch the stock market. See how things are playing out. Now's the time to learn how to trade in the stock market while you're sitting around doing nothing. Because you can't turn to sports, or you can't turn to really anything else because everything else is shut down. So why not come over to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, check out WeTradeHQ.com, and learn how to trade the stock market. Come up with a new skill. Create a new skill for yourself while you're sitting around bored to tears because you can't even turn to anything else. Let me just look into some of the comments here. Let's see here. Just looking through. Good to see you, Ronson Hawk. It's been a while since I've been back. Welcome back. Good to see you. I'm happy you're here. Freightliner, what's going on, man? Good to see you as well. Brian, I can watch the mentorship. Yeah, you can come show up to the mentorship, Brian. I'd love to have you. Mike, buy pot stocks. Not sure just yet, but I think that cannabis stocks has been beaten down enough to potentially buy into them. But I think a lot of that's going to rely on the political climate, right? What those between whomever is going to be on the Democratic side versus Republican, and how all that's going to shake out. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. Brian says, I can't get any toilet paper. I need some So the only thing that I can think of is maybe Procter & Gamble, which is PG. That's probably related to toilet paper. I still think you'd have to buy a lot of toilet paper for PG to have some sort of impact. I hope you can call in. She says you don't want me to call in. I'd have to lock myself in the bathroom to not be interrupted. Oh, that's too funny. O'Brien's in North Carolina. Good. Awesome. Alan's in Florida. All right. So I work at Costco. Thousands of people fighting for toilet paper. I don't know what it is about toilet paper. That's the other thing. There's so many other essentials. I mean, for me, I'm stocking up on Jack and Coke, man. I'm good on toilet paper. Even if I run out of toilet paper, it's not the end of the world. If I run out of Jack, God help me. That's all I'm saying, right? I can use a washcloth, for crying out loud, if I run out of toilet paper. That's not the end of my world. Okay. Let's see here. Consumer confidence going to be shot for a while? I would say so, Andrew. I would say consumer confidence is probably going to be a little shot. I think until this wave of panic and fear rolls over, there's probably going to be some people that are afraid to go out. So your luxurious things that people go and consume, like going to major sporting events or your Broadway shows. But it's kind of funny to me. You see schools closing down for 2 weeks to a month, to possibly threatening 8 weeks, school shutting down. But then you see people out and about all over the place. You're going to shut down sporting events, but people don't mind waiting in line with hundreds of other people going to buy toilet paper. Blows my mind. And I'm not trying to be insensitive here. It's just the fact. I don't get it. But nevertheless, we're going to not panic. We're going to buy when everybody else is selling. And if you are smart and you don't panic and you scale yourself in, you start buying stocks as they're going down because you'll never predict the bottom, right? Nobody knows when the bottom's actually in. So you're going to scale yourself in. And then 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you're going to be like, good thing I bought when everybody else was afraid. Good thing I sacrificed going out for a week or two, a month, so that I could just continue investing in the stock market. Anytime you bet against America, it's never a good thing, at least in the long term. Having said that, I'm going to talk to you about this week and what I expect going on this week. So I'm going to bring you on over to WeTradeHQ.com. So if you're not a part of the WeTradeHQ family, I would encourage you to do so. And if you look over to WeTradeHQ.com and you pull up SPY. So this is the S&P 500. I went over to WeTradeHQ.com, pull up the S&P or the SPY, the ETF, and you look here. The run-up on Friday was insane, right? Here you go. Last 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the stock market. Went up from 253, the SPY did. 253 all the way up and closed at 4 o'clock at 271. Unbelievable move. Was fantastic, right? Here's what's probably more than likely going to happen. You'll wake up tomorrow, the Dow Jones was up nearly 2,000 points, and you'll wake up tomorrow, and it'll be down 1,000. We've seen this over the last 2 weeks, and there's nothing that I'm seeing right now that would tell me that there's any reason for people to continue to buy this up. You see right now futures are slightly up, maybe a little bit. Dow's up around 9% right now, futures. S&P futures are around 10% up slightly. I just don't know if that's going to sustain. So what I would suggest is possibly looking at the inverse of SPY, which is TVIX, which is what I got into at the open on Friday. Sold because I made a ton of money. It's gapped up right after the market opened on Friday. So you look at here, and we'll look at the daily chart actually. So you look at the daily chart, and you can see that this gapped up, went crazy. Got in at around 327 first thing in the morning on Friday. Stayed in it for about, maybe an hour or two. And then it skyrocketed to over 400. Went up to highs of 440. I ended up selling around 430-ish. And made $100, over $100, on that trade per share. So I made almost 10 grand on that one. It was a great trade, incredible trade. And that's what we've been seeing. So when you see these crazy bounces over the last couple of weeks, it's been more than likely, especially if it's pre-market, that ends up selling off because these are just ridiculous bounces. You have what's called, and what I call, if you've never heard this before, it's called a dead cat bounce. And I've talked about this within my mentorship, and a lot of people were like, well, this sounds a little bit more like Wile E. Coyote. But if you think about dead cat bounce, let me give you a visual here. So if you guys have ever seen Looney Tunes, and you see Sylvester, the cat, chasing Tweety Bird, right? He's chasing Tweety Bird. Tweety Bird flies out the window, and then Tweety Bird can fly because it's a bird, right? Well, Sylvester doesn't know that. He goes out the window, and then all of a sudden he realizes that there's nothing underneath of his feet, and he goes down and crashes on the ground. But because it's Looney Tunes, he bounces off of the ground, goes up X amount of feet, and then comes back down and crashes through the asphalt or whatever he falls on, right? And that's exactly what happens here that we've seen in the stock market. We've seen it multiple times over the history of the stock market. And you can see this right here. I can show you right here on SPY where, when the initial crash happened, you see this come down on February 28th, came all the way down and bottomed out here, had a dead cat bounce. Sylvester the cat bounce. Tweety Bird flies out the window. Sylvester realizes that the floor, the ground is no longer underneath of his feet, and then he comes crashing back down. So that's what happens. That is what we call a dead cat bounce. Some people in the mentorship call it Wile E. Coyote. But nevertheless, we see this. It's been happening day after day in the markets. And so, how do you manage this? How do you understand all of this? It still comes down to fundamental analysis. It still comes down to looking at price action and all of that stuff. So for me, you're looking at something like what happened, on Friday, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, fundamentally, this makes no sense. Fundamentally, I still think there's potential for this to continue to come down. And this could come down even further to maybe to the 180s. And don't think that that's not out of the question. If you look at something like this, you can see where the SPY has come down right here to around 246. It's kind of where it started to bottom out a little bit. But you can see that it could come down as low as right around here, around maybe 234. That's still up for grabs. And maybe even as low as the 180s. Now, I'm not saying that it could. I'm not saying that it will, I should say. But it could come down to that level, to around 180s, maybe 200. And if you come back down here, yeah, here you go, 180 right here. So this is these two areas that it could potentially come down to. The reason for that being is not because maybe coronavirus infects, as many people as we saw in China, but because of the fear that people have been experiencing. You're looking at the things that are going on in Italy and everywhere else, and people are like, well, what happens when that reaches America? I mean, we're already bracing for it, right? And I think there's two things that could happen. The worst that could happen. The worst could happen, and there's millions of people that are infected in America, which, in my opinion, I don't think will happen. And if it does, I don't think it's going to be as bad as everybody thinks it is. You're now primed for a opportunity to get into these stocks on the cheap and buy things at stupid prices, like your Apple, which right now Apple is. Let me see where Apple ended up closing. And this is a little bit more of a, this is probably not quite as where we wanted to see Apple right now. Apple closed on Friday at 277. I think it comes back down probably into 250s. So I would wait on that. But Friday was just was a weird day, the way that it closed, and I don't think that in my opinion, I don't think the bottom is quite in just yet. We'll see. We'll see how Monday works out. But I think in my opinion that Monday ends up being a pretty red day. We'll see how it plays out. But I think that this is one of those situations where you can kind of capitalize on the dead cat bounce, get yourself into maybe some TVIX, which, like I said, is the inverse of the SPY. Make some good money, make some good decisions. But then there's other ones like GUSH. You could end up starting to swing trade into, like Gush, any of your oil trades. We talked about oil crashing because of the Saudis and Russia not getting along, right? And that's why it crashed down. Gush, GUSH, crashed over 90%. Over 90%. You can see here over on WeTradeHQ.com. Over 90%. This is on the daily chart. Look at this gap down. It crashed 90% and closed. Had actually a decent day on Friday at 77 cents. This is a joke. This is another one that's just a joke. Now, I will say that they do have a reverse split coming in place on the 23rd of this month. So make sure you're cognizant of that. But this is, again, just another crazy overreaction. And if you get in, and you know how I feel about oil, and I don't think it's something that you should be, getting into long term, but from an investment standpoint. But I think that, for a nice swing trade, for a nice bounce, this is crazy to see it down here like this. So I would say, if you're looking to invest in oil stocks, and you can look at something like even ExxonMobil, if you don't like looking at ETFs, ExxonMobil I think is just down too far. I wouldn't say that. And let's look at it from a daily standpoint. You can see how much this has come down. 38, it came all the way down to around $34 from I wouldn't even say necessarily it's as highs, but before the crash it was around $71. It's just too freaking cheap. It's over 50% drop now on ExxonMobil. And I'm not saying that, I would invest in oil stocks for too long, but I would say this is a ridiculous price where it's at right now. A ridiculous price. It's just way too much overreaction. So, a couple of things, like I said, to end up paying attention to, and, I wasn't going to go into like any specific stocks that I wanted to look at in particular, but I just wanted you guys to kind of observe and watch, especially if there's a lot of you that are going to be home at this point in time, to be able to learn how to trade in the stock market. You're going to have plenty of time to do so, especially if your job told you to stay home. Let me take a look here. They stopped NASCAR. They stopped everything. Let's see here. I have 300 Clean Shops Rags t-shirts. There are many fewer people are out and around here. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I appreciate that, Hope. Ohio shutting down for 9 restaurants and bars. Maryland shutting down too. I'm from Maryland. That's where that's where I live. So Maryland shutting down as well. Bought some CXW and GEO this week, 15% dividend. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Futures have been halted already. No shock there, Andrew. Thanks for letting me know. I found TVIX doing the challenge at $26. Yeah, I would say, it's just TVIX. It's just made incredible moves. I would imagine that TVIX ends up making even stronger move up above $400. All right, so some good stuff here. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so let me go ahead and let you guys call in. If you guys want to ask on specific stocks, I'll be here for you. It's at 443-281-3763. So if you guys have any specific questions, 443-281-3763. And I'll put that in the chat here. It's 443-281-3763. And this is something that I just started, so if we have any hiccups, please bear with me, but I'm still trying to get used to this a little bit. But I would love for you guys to call in if you have specific questions on a particular stock that you would like me to take a look at, or just questions about anything that's going on in the stock market. I want to be here for you. I want to help you guys out. So if you guys want to give me a call, like I said, 443-281-3763 is the number. And it looks like I got one already. So what's going on? How are you? You're here on Stock Watch Sunday. How can I help you?
How are you? Yeah, I was wanting to ask about Paso.
PASO. So Paso, yeah. Paso's actually been a stock that we've had on Stock Watch Sunday already. So this has been a really good one. I think that, and thanks for the call. What was your name?
I think that.
What was your name?
Nathan.
I'm sorry?
Nathan.
Oh, Nathan. Okay. So thanks, Nathan. Looks like you're from Missouri, so appreciate the call. So PASO has been one that we've been keeping an eye on, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. So this has been actually a really good one. So this is a penny stock. This has actually I've been turning to some of the penny stocks here. And PASO has actually been doing very, very well. This is something that we've been watching since sub-penny, so around 0096. It closed on Friday at 042, which is incredible. Over 300% gain on this one so far. For those of you who are in my mentorship, or those of you who actually tuned in to Stock Watch Sunday. And the reason I'm bringing you over here to the OTCmarkets.com website is because I wanted to bring you over to this area here and look at the disclosures here. So you can see here on PASO, where it's been pretty awesome to see how they've been buying this up. So the board of directors have been buying up shares here in anticipation of a potential merger going through. So PASO here, you can see on their Twitter that they have a merger candidate. They're waiting for things to go through. They just got themselves current, and their board of directors are buying this up like crazy. So PASO, this is why this has been moving so well. We can pull this up on my Thinkorswim here. I actually had this pulled up. So you can see how this has just been continuing to go up. It's been a really good mover so far. I think PASO, this is just the beginning. Well, I think what's going to happen here is that we'll see who the merger candidate is, and that's really when the fireworks will begin. So in my opinion, I think PASO is definitely a good one to continue to consider getting into. I would wait for a pullback at this point. You can see this is topped out and it's closed at its highs on Friday at 0421. So if you're looking for a potential pullback here, maybe around 3.5 cents. 0338 seems to be that area that I would consider looking for a pullback at. And if you missed the boat on PASO, that would be where I would look to potentially get shares at, is around 035, 034, somewhere around that area. So thanks for the question. Appreciate the call. Next up, we have, I don't know. Well, who do I have here?
Hey, Brad Scott, how you doing, man?
Hey, Bob. Good to have you, man. Good to see you. Thanks for calling in. What you got?
Oh, hey, question for you. On Thursday, you were in Zoom and you were talking about a taking profit and then also stop loss. You said your stop loss for profit taking, or take your profit taking and then set your stop loss.
So that's a great question. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, Bob, but thanks for the question. So my stop losses. So there's two ways that I do stop losses. One of them is to minimize risk after I initially get into a stock. The other one is to then lock in profit. So in the example of TVIX, so I get in TVIX, I set an initial stop loss to protect myself from taking any kind of considerable loss. But then as it started to continue to go up, I moved my stop loss up to ensure that I was locking in some sort of profit. So I sold some off. I got in at 100 shares on TVIX, and then as it started to go up, I locked in some profit and then ended up moving my stop loss a little bit at a time to ensure that I was going to lock in some profit somewhere along the line. So I wanted to ensure that I was locking something in and then kept some shares in there, and then wherever it ended up going, I was going to be happy with, because at that point, I'm playing with house money. So set a stop loss, eventually got tripped around $420 or so, and made some really, really great profit on TVIX. So to answer your question, I use stop losses for two reasons. That's the quick answer. One of them is to minimize risk, to protect myself from losing any kind of considerable amount of money if the trade doesn't go in my favor. And the other one is to ensure that I lock in profit if by some chance it goes up and then all of a sudden has a steep drop off or steep sell off. I can at least make sure that I was able to lock in some profit somewhere along the lines. So hope that helped. Thanks for the call in, Bob. I appreciate it. You guys are great. Good stuff. So let me go ahead and go back to the chat here. Never use stop loss of OTC stocks. That's a really good point. So OTC stocks or penny stocks in general, I don't use stop losses on. Reason being is just because it's just so volatile. Anytime you end up setting a stop loss, there's a very good chance it just goes right back up on you. So I usually end up setting like some sort of mental stop loss. If I'm down a specific amount, usually it's more than 10, 20%, then I'll end up being out. But there are times where it may make sense to average in. Penny stocks and OTCs are a whole different ballgame. But when you're trading large cap stocks, it makes it much easier to try to determine where you want to set your stop losses. So that's a whole different conversation for a different time. But for those of you who maybe had the same question, I hope that helps you guys out as well. So thanks, Bob. Appreciate the call. Anybody else? Again, 443-281-3763. We'll love to have you guys on. So short to you guys, long on you guys, unless the market turns around. I would say that's probably a good call. We'll see what happens. You guys actually ended up making a very good move. And we'll just see how the rest of that goes. I thought GUSH was way overreaction. I think oil was only down 25%, even being a 3x bull to ETF. Doesn't make any sense. Brian, I would agree with you, and that's why I've worked my way into GUSH. And really any kind of oil stocks or oil ETFs, UWT, I'll be working my way into those, because the reaction is ridiculous. I think, like I said, a lot of stocks in here are just, the prices right now are just a joke. And, I think oil at this point is just that. And so I would work myself into something like that. If you guys were curious about, what you would be doing with oil stocks, I wouldn't hang in them for long, but it's kind of almost kind of a no-brainer to see that there's got to be some sort of bounce somewhere in oil as a commodity itself. So I think it's only a matter of time before it ends up bouncing back. And so if you guys are working yourself into something like that, I'd say that's probably end up going to be a wise decision. But again, like I said, it's my opinion, not telling you that's what you have to do, but I've seen this movie before and I know how it usually ends up. So, did I see what happened to Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin was a little bit of a, anybody who's a crypto trader out there who thought that moving their money into Bitcoin was a safe investment was sadly mistaken. I think anybody who was just liquidating everything, and that includes gold. Gold was just getting liquidated like crazy as well. So, Alan says, hit the like button. Yeah, I certainly would appreciate the thumbs up if you guys are out there watching right now. I would appreciate the support. Give me a thumbs up. Got about 68 of you guys in here, about 70 of you in here. So I'd appreciate if you guys gave me a thumbs up. Certainly certainly thanks. Appreciate that. The support, of course. Let me check in with some more of you guys. Again, the number is 443-281-3763. If you guys want to call in, I would certainly appreciate the call. If you guys want to, you guys have any questions? So let's see here. Thanks, Miguel. Appreciate it. All right. Any news on PASO? So Bodie Beer, we did talk about PASO. I think it does continue, but I think it continues after a pullback, maybe to around 3.5 cents, maybe about 0.33, somewhere around there, 0.34. But definitely one that I would stay into on the long side, continue to look at that one because the story has yet to have been written on that one. Any of my OTC folks that are out there, OTC traders, any OTC stocks, CTYX is still another one that I think the story has yet to been written on. That's one that I'm still currently in. So if you guys are curious about that one, yes, I still love it. I still think it's worth being in as far as CTYX is concerned. Is the Fed out of bullets? No. So that's a great question. So if you guys have been watching what the Fed's been doing, they brought down interest rates to 0, but they can bring interest rates down even lower. So there are negative interest rates that they can bring it down to. So no, they're not out of bullets, actually. They can definitely, they still have a lot of power still. So if you guys have, we're thinking that, well, they bring interest rates down to 0 and that's it. That's not the case, actually. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know about that. I think the Fed, Bodie, Beard, they still have a lot of power. So, we saw this in 2008 where we saw negative interest rates. It's definitely very much a thing. So, are you still in Pred? Colibra asks. No, I'm not in PRED. That was a tax write-off this year. It was a shame to see that thing continue to get diluted, but had to do what I had to do on PRED is what it is. How long will the T-bill run last? That's a good question. I really don't know. It's really anybody's guess at this point. So there's not really much I can comment on as far as that's concerned. No problem, Colibra. I read they are going to do some asset purchases by the Fed. Yeah, I heard that they were going to be, injecting a little over $1 trillion into the market. What we've seen, though, is that even with the Chinese markets, they tried doing that, and people are still so scared that it doesn't seem to matter what kind of money they dump into the market, people are still going to sell. So I'm not sure if it will really impact the market, maybe in the short term, but I think in the long term, we're officially in a bear market. So I'm more inclined to expect some sort of run-up and then just continued selling off until we see some sort of change. I do think that we end up turning bullish sooner rather than later, and the recovery is going to be much quicker than we saw in 2008 for the reasons that I explained in the beginning of this stream. But I don't think that the bottom's in just yet. I think we still have a little bit to go, and I think it's going to have to get worse before it gets a little bit better. So keep that in mind. If you ever met persons must. Yeah, it was good to see you, Alan. Met a couple people while I was out and about over the last 2 weeks, and we got another caller here. So let me welcome caller here. Welcome to Stockwatch Sunday. Happy to have you. Who do I have on the phone right now?
My name is Steve.
Hey, Steve. Is this? I think I know who you are. What's going on, Steve? Well, welcome to the Stockwatch Sunday. What can I do for you?
This is the first time I've ever called in. I got a brother that me and him, he's on your mentorship, and we got into this about a year ago, and we've just taken a bath. And and that's not your fault. But I've got about 5 of these stocks, and I don't know which one to hold. We jumped the gun on CTYX. I went back to get my money back from 005. I dumped it at 00124 or something like that, where I was in it, and then it just took off like a rocket. But the ones that I don't know where to go with, I've got HIRU, I got Inc., ABCE, DRSO, and SWHI, and KALY, and none of them are just, I don't want to dump too quick to do something with them.
Okay, so really good questions, and so it sounds like that you're in a couple that really, the ones that you're explaining to me right now, other than CTYX, and maybe HIRU. There's other ones really kind of diluted the crap, right? And your KALYs, the big red flags there is that they're not current, and they continue to dilute, and they're putting out press releases that just they're going with whatever's hot at the moment, whether it's cannabis stocks or maybe it's coronavirus or whatever the next one's going to be, right? And even before that, it was cryptocurrency. So you just never know with stocks like that. When you see things like that, like a KALY or some of the other ones that you mentioned that are extremely diluting and have diluted to nothing, at some point you're going to have to ask yourself, okay, is this worth even worrying about anymore? Do I just get out and cut my losses? And sometimes that just happens. I myself have run into that when it comes to OTC stocks where there's just really no hope. They just can't stop diluting, or they're just some BS stock that just continues to throw out press release after press release, despite the fact that they're delinquent. They have caveat emptors all over them, and they're down into triple zeros. And so, that in a nutshell, basically you have to tell yourself, is it even worth selling at this point? Have I lost enough to where it's not even worth selling? I just leave it there and maybe I get a pop out of it. Or you end up saying, okay, I'm just going to sell it and move on because I'm tired of looking at it. So, I run into that where it's just, I end up taking a loss to the point where I'm just like, I'll just write it off on taxes when it comes to penny stocks, of course. Or do I just, let it sit there and see what happens? And so, that's something that you really have to end up asking yourself as well, is like, this it continues to bleed down. There's no sign of them actually really turning anything around. And do I continue to have faith in this company, or are they the ones that are really sticking it to me? So, CTYX, I still think there's room to run on that one. HIRU, there's still a story to be told there, I think, as well. But some of the other ones that you mentioned that are continually diluting and are continually delinquent despite PRs, you might end up finding yourself into some trouble with those. So I hope that helps. Thanks for calling. Right. I appreciate it.
One of the things, Brad, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The CTYX, we lost probably $3,000, but and we're down low enough. I just hold these things because it's like a write-off, like you were saying. But what's so funny about these OTC stocks that I've learned from you is one stock can put you way over what your initial investment was. And I'm thinking that's where we need to go, is put another 1,000 in, figure out which one can start me back up again. But like I said, if I would have held CTYX, I would have had more than what I ever started with.
Yeah. So there's one thing that I would say, especially, and I'm going to let you go. I appreciate the call, Steve. The one thing that I would say when it comes to over-the-counter penny stocks, and this is how I was able to quit my job and do this for a living. Protecting your initial investment at all costs is number one priority. So when you get yourself into something like CTYX, or any of these other stocks that we've talked about as far as over-the-counter penny stocks are concerned, you're looking to protect your capital at all costs. So if you get into something and you start to see it going south on you, you get out and maybe there's an opportunity to get in at a lower price. Or let's just say, and I've seen this time and again with people that are in my mentorship, or people that are on YouTube, where they buy something and then they're out thousands of dollars, even tens of thousands of dollars, and they still can't bring themselves to sell. And that's a problem. You need to be able to get your initial investment out, and then you can let the rest of it go and then sell whenever you're happy. If you get your initial investment out, let's just say it's $1,000. Let's say we got into CTYX and we called CTYX out at 0006 was the lowest that we called that out at. And then it's gone up to 2.5 cents. So there's some things that obviously you should be asking yourself. If something ran from 0006 all the way up to 2.5 cents, is it really a good idea to be getting into something that high? So that's the first question you have to ask, understanding the risk and reward there. But then also, if you bought in, let's just say it was sub penny and you doubled your money, then you have to sit here and ask yourself, okay, this is probably a good opportunity for me to protect my initial investment, manage my risk appropriately, sell the initial investment that I put into this. So if you got in $1,000 and you doubled your money, getting that $1,000 out as soon as possible, selling on the ask price, of course, working your way out that way, leaving the rest of it in there so that you're just playing with house money. The stress is off of you. You can sit there. Your risk tolerance has now gotten wider, and so that you can really kind of sit there and manage that accordingly. So if it ends up going south on you, the worst that happens is that you still sell for a profit, but maybe it wasn't a profit that you were hoping for. But at the end of the day, you're still able to manage that risk and sell your initial investment and protect that capital. So hope that helps. Hope that answered your question. Thanks for calling. So should I invest in 50-gallon drums of lubricant? Probably would be a good idea if everybody's sitting around at home all day long. I think we're going to have an interesting 9 months. 9 months from now, we might have another boomer situation on our hand. Seeing a bad week for Chuck says, hey, Chuck, what's good to see you. Seeing a bad week for the airlines ahead again. American Airlines has pretty much parked their international flights even further this weekend. Yeah. Listen, if you're not afraid of getting coronavirus, I'd be buying up some trips. You guys want to take a vacation? Now's the time to do it. But American Airlines, any of the airline stocks, your Boeing, American Airlines, Delta, all those I would hold off on buying just yet, unless you really, really strongly feel there's going to be a bounce somewhere soon. But I would say that those are definitely going to be worse before they become better. As far as airliners are concerned, your travel stocks, like I said, WYAN and any of your cruise liner type stocks, those are going to be ones that I would stay away from right now until we really see a bottom, because I don't think the bottom's in on those yet by far. So with so much volatility, are options getting dangerous? How would you trade options? How do you normally hedge? So Arnaud, really good question. So for me personally, I'm not the options guy, right? I'd rather just trade it straight up, just because that's my strategy. That's what I feel comfortable with. I know enough about options to get myself in trouble, and that's about it. But since you're asking the questions, I would say that options are always dangerous. So let's just get that out of the way. There's always risk involved. You always run the risk of losing more than you actually put in, which is why I always just kind of like trading stocks straight up, because if it goes down to zero, I at least know that I'm only losing whatever I put into the stock, which is not the case for options. But I would say that I would just do it how I would trade anything as far as options are concerned, making sure that you're not putting more money into it that you can afford to lose. Because at the end of the day, especially with options, as risky as they are, and there's many options traders out there that would probably be able to answer this question better than I can. But from a risk management standpoint, I would say don't be risking more than you can afford to lose at the end of the day. So if you're going into something knowing that there's a potential that you could lose more than even what you put into it, if you're okay with that, then go for it. But if you're not, then maybe you need to take a step back and reevaluate, how you plan on trading something like that if things go south on you. So I hope that helps. But if you want to check out anybody who is proficient in trading options, we have plenty of mentors over at WeTradeHQ.com. Again, the links are down in the description below. We have Don Fron, who's Don Fronberger over at WeTradeHQ, who's a master at options trading. He's really, really good. We also have the Profit Room, who are Ernest and Latoya. They trade Forex as well as futures and do really well with gap up situations. So go check them out. Their Profit Room, they're over at WeTradeHQ.com. They'll be definitely happy to answer any questions you might have because they are just way better at trading options than I am. And I'm man enough to admit my limitations here. So, but we do have people within our community that can answer those questions for you. So if you want to go learn more, check that out over at WeTradeHQ.com. So, but yes, I do mean because of leverage. Can I use my phone to be in your mentorship? Computer's not working right now. O'Brien Robinson, yes, absolutely. So if you can see Alan down below, he actually tunes in to the mentorships via phone as well. So, and if you miss the mentorships in the morning where I go live from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time, they're all pre-recorded. So you could go back and watch them if by chance you weren't able to make it during the actual live stream itself. That is the beauty of what it is over at WeTradeHQ, and my partner Jake have built this platform for people like you and mine, the working person, the 9-to-5er, or in this case, anybody who is going to be sitting at home for the next 2 weeks or so. So, if you guys want to tune in, like I said, go check it out. The link's below. That's going to do it for me, guys. I think the questions are drying up. I hope that I brought some perspective. Now, I know that this was a little bit different of a Stock Watch Sunday than I usually do, but I thought that there was so much stuff going on in the world right now that it was really important to just bring perspective back to everybody and bring you all into check, right? If you're out there fighting people for toilet paper, you got the wrong idea. And I hope that I was able to bring some perspective. I hope that I was able to get you guys to take a seat and think about what's really going on here and how you can capitalize on it. That doesn't involve you selling toilet paper and Purell for $170 a pop. And that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, if you got something out of this, you guys saw value out of this stream, out of Stock Watch Sunday, I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up. Just further shows me some support and helps get the word out. So I'd appreciate that. And if you've never tuned in, or if this is your first time visiting, I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel. It's like just like this is what I do every day. I bring perspective. I'm the voice of reason in case anybody's out there panicking. So I hope that I did that for you. And as always, guys, I'll see you all before the bell. Okay, B Smith is out. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and hopefully I'll see you over at WeTrade HQ. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.